Good happy Friday morning, April 22nd, 2022. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Friday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Friday morning, so let's get started right now. First up, we have an update to all of you to a story that we brought you earlier last night in our evening broadcast last night. Officials respond to suspicious deaths of 2 adults in Concord, Attorney General's office says. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Jackpot alert! How much? That much? We are so getting tickets! Hi-ho!
Well, Tom, of course, this is a very developing situation. In fact, we just got a press release from the State Attorney General's office just a minute or two ago in which they announced that authorities are responding to the suspicious deaths of 2 adults in Concord, New Hampshire. Now, we should note, can't make the direct connection that this is in fact the missing couple that Concord police have been looking for, but we do now know that the State Attorney General's office is responding to this situation in Concord, and according to this release that they just sent out, they are responding to the suspicious deaths of 2 adults in Concord. Now, also, we know tonight that Concord Police and Fire have been conducting a search behind me on Marsh Loop. This is on Portsmouth Street, just off of Portsmouth Street, and it's located just behind the Alton Woods apartment complex. Now, earlier today, there was a large police presence in that residential area. And while not clear if those 2 searches are directly connected, investigators have been putting a lot of resources into finding this couple, 66-year-old Wendy Reed and her husband, 67-year-old Stephen Reed. They were reported missing just last night. Police say that the Reeds were last seen by family members on Easter Sunday. They were last heard from on Monday. They left their cars, their personal belongings at home, and they last told family members that they were going to be going for a hike in the Heights area, which is where they're from in this part of the city. Now, of course, we will continue to follow the latest developments on the situation, but again, I can tell you that there is an active scene going on behind me here on Portsmouth Street in this marshy area that is not far from the Alton Woods apartment complex. And again, the State Attorney General's office announcing that they are responding to the suspicious deaths of 2 adults in Concord. Reporting live in Concord, Mike Cronin, WMUR News Now.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Manchester Police investigates shots fired report near Elm Street. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Jackpot alert! How much? That much? We are so getting tickets! Hi-ho!
And breaking news right now that I'm in Manchester, where police are investigating a report of a shooting. Officers are working in the area right now of 20 Elm Street near Bakersville Elementary School. The department police log reporting a gunshot being heard around 8:45 tonight. We will bring you updates as they come into the newsroom.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Police shooting of Walpole man justified. AG's office concludes. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Jackpot alert! How much? That much? We are so getting tickets! Hi-ho!
The New Hampshire Attorney General's office has determined the police shooting of a Walpole man back in December was justified. 2 state troopers responded to the home of Jacob Gasparo. Authorities say while they were speaking with him, he pulled what appeared to be a semi-automatic handgun and pointed it at one of them. Trooper Zachary Bernier pulled out his own weapon and shot at Gasparo, hitting him twice. Gasparo's weapon was only an airsoft pellet gun, but because the markings were removed, the AG's office said it was reasonable to assume it was real and respond with force.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. As COVID-19 cases rise in New Hampshire, health officials say they're still optimistic. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Jackpot alert! How much? That much? We are so getting tickets! Hi-ho!
Well, numbers are going up. The rise in the number of infections, the number of hospitalizations is small compared to where we have come from during the Omicron surge.
State epidemiologist Dr. Benjamin Chan remains optimistic amidst rising COVID-19 infections in the state, recognizing that reported case numbers are only a fraction of those individuals actually infected due to the amount of home testing taking place.
The number of reported infections that are reported to us on a daily basis are a subset of the larger number of infections actually occurring within our communities.
Even still, health officials say hospitalizations are the key data point used to judge the severity of any surge.
So the good news is this: we don't see a massive crunch or burden on the healthcare system. People are working through the vast majority of people are working through the symptoms very, very well.
Although officials continue to recommend vaccination as the best line of defense against severe infection from COVID-19, availability of antiviral medicines at commercial pharmacies can now also help to keep someone with COVID-19 out of the hospital.
So providers can prescribe these medications for people that may be infected with COVID-19 to prevent that person from progressing to more severe disease that could result in hospitalization or death from COVID-19.
So where do we go from here? Dr. Chan says there's been a shift in focus, acknowledging that COVID-19 will continue to spread and focusing on preventing severe outcomes for those infected. Live in the studio, Jason King, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. No new COVID-19 deaths announced in New Hampshire as cases continue to rise. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Jackpot alert! How much? That much? We are so getting tickets! Hi-ho!
Here in New Hampshire, active cases of COVID now top 2,500 tonight for the first time since February. DHHS is reporting 376 new cases of the virus, but there are no new deaths. COVID-positive hospitalizations are now up to 67 tonight, the most since March 4th. But those receiving treatment for COVID, that number is down to 15.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire Senate approves expansion to abortion ban for fetal anomalies. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Jackpot alert! How much? That much? We are so getting tickets! Hi-ho!
On a 19-5 vote, the New Hampshire Senate approved an exception to the state's new 24-week abortion ban in the case of fetal anomalies incompatible with life.
There are really only two people who should make such heartbreaking and gut-wrenching decisions: the patient and the doctor.
House Bill 1609 also narrows the ultrasound mandate in the Fetal Life Protection Act, avoiding invasive procedures in the first trimester. While many Republicans backed the changes, some did not. They tried and failed to amend the bill to emphasize delivery over abortion when a fatal fetal diagnosis is made.
It allows a mother and the doctor to make the decision to induce if the diagnosis is correct. Then it allows the baby to die in the mother's arms rather than through the violent action of an abortion.
Pro-choice activists say credit for moving so many Republican votes on this issue in the last year goes to women from across the state.
It's the personal stories that made a difference here today, and we are incredibly grateful for those women for speaking up.
Governor Chris Sununu is expected to sign the bill, which Senate Majority Leader Jeb Bradley says will be headed to his desk soon.
I stand by the fact that we should not allow abortion on demand right up until the moment of birth. However, there are rare exceptions that unfortunately need to be dealt with in a medical sense.
Other Republican lawmakers and pro-life activists believe this exception and the change to the ultrasound mandate will open loopholes in the law, leading to more abortions.
This is a wide open door that the people I think that were voting for don't recognize.
In Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Biden announces new round of military economic aid to Ukraine. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Our new EV rental fleet is the absolute GOAT.
Nice. Speaking of goats.
The war in Ukraine at a critical moment. Russia making it clear it is setting its sights on eastern Ukraine, and tonight we have learned Vladimir Putin has now set up a blockade around that steel factory we've been reporting on here. Inside that factory, Ukrainian fighters and potentially up to 1,000 civilians seeking shelter, refusing to surrender to the Russians. Putin has declared victory in Mariupol. Tonight, President Biden saying there is no clear evidence of that. And tonight, the U.S. is now sending another $800 million in military aid and weapons. The president coming before cameras at the White House today, expressing his outrage at the brutality of Russia's campaign, the war crimes, the atrocities, the president said. The president vowing Putin will never succeed in taking all of Ukraine. Tonight, Putin surrounding that plant, ordering the plant to be sealed off so that, quote, not even a fly comes through. The mayor of Mariupol tonight telling ABC News Ukrainian troops will not surrender and that U.S. military assistance is reaching them. And tonight, President Biden also revealing a new program to welcome Ukrainian refugees, calling on Americans to sponsor the refugees. ABC's James Longman tonight inside Ukraine with the harrowing stories. The Ukrainians trying to get out of Mariupol, facing multiple Russian checkpoints, and what they say the Russians did. James, inside Ukraine again tonight.
Tonight, as Russia presses its offensive in eastern Ukraine, the U.S. announcing another $800 million in military aid to help the Ukrainians fight back.
This package includes heavy artillery weapons, dozens of howitzers, and 144,000 rounds of ammunition to go with those howitzers.
There's also $500 million more to help fund Ukrainian government operations, including salaries and social programs. The military package is a substantial one, including 72 howitzers and the vehicles to tow them. It includes 121 tactical drones, similar to Switchblades, but a new type developed in part by the U.S. Air Force to meet specific Ukrainian needs in this war. Biden said he's almost exhausted his authority to provide military aid and would go to Congress next week for more money to keep the weapons flowing.
To modernize Teddy Roosevelt's famous advice, sometimes we will speak softly and carry a large javelin, because we're sending a lot of those in as well.
It all comes as Russian President Putin today declared victory in Mariupol, even though he says he's called off an attempt to storm the last stronghold held by Ukrainians in the city. The Russian leader ordered a blockade of the Azovstal steel factory so nothing can get in or out. Russian drone video showing the extent of the damage, and just outside the city, new satellite images which may show the existence of mass graves. Mariupol's mayor told ABC today that U.S. military assistance is reaching Ukrainian fighters in the city, and they have no intention of surrender.
Are there 1,000 people left in the Azovstal plant now, or what's the number, and how many people are left in the wider city?
He said 1,000 civilians are also in that steel plant, and they're running out of what they need to survive. 100,000 people remain stuck in the city. But today, for the first time in more than a week, a handful managed to get out. Vitaly was among them. We met him as he struggled with his few remaining possessions. His bus was stopped repeatedly at Russian checkpoints, he said. Soldiers there intimidating and humiliating those on board.
The Russians were taking your fingerprint.
Yes, he says, they took photographs from the front and from the sides. They were grabbing me by my hands, by my neck.
He's crying. Yeah.
He's had a long journey. Finally, a chance to rest.
Who have you left behind in Mariupol? Is there anyone there?
My son and his wife, he says. I was living underground for 25 days. His granddaughter went through hell with him. He briefly lost her today in the excitement of reaching safety.
Where is she? That's your granddaughter there. She's shy. You're not shy, but she's shy. This is the granddaughter. Look at your face. You can't stop smiling.
I'm happy that we're here, she says. My soul is happy for meeting you, says Vitaly.
My soul is happy for meeting you as well.
A rare moment of joy in the middle of a war zone. James Longman back with us tonight from eastern Ukraine. And James, you and I were on the air earlier today as President Biden was revealing this new military aid to Ukraine. In fact, when we came to you, you had just talked to Ukrainians who were able to get out of Mariupol. They were some of them we just saw there. I was struck when they described what they had faced at multiple Russian checkpoints.
Yeah, they had to get through as many as 20 checkpoints manned by Russian soldiers, David. And we've heard they were humiliated and intimidated at everyone, even made to strip, where soldiers looked for tattoos that suggested military affiliations. And there is concern now tonight, David, for those 1,000 civilians stuck in the basement of that steel plant, now been sealed off by Russia. David.
The world now watching that factory, James. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great day, everyone, and goodbye.